crunchy, no stir peanut butter spread. Contains 90% of peanuts and 10% of mystery. Go for it, Robbie.
You'd have to buy crunchy.
Oh yeah, crunchy is the best, isn't it?
No, I'm not kind of smooth.
Oh, you like smooth?
Mm-hmm.
Have at it. So on a scale from 0 to 10 of crunchiness?
Much crunchy. A 7.
South by Southwest, day 5.
Jesus, fuck, that is terrifying.
The buffalo used to be right there. It's gone now. Vague plan for today is to get coffee and then probably listen for some VR talks.
See if they have it. Okay.
Vague idea of getting taco, but let's see. So happy the good weather is back. Check out the blue sky. It's not a single cloud is inside. Okay, virtual reality. Weather situation is definitely improving. A couple of talks, listen to robots, AI. There's a virtual reality cinema thing happening in JW. Navigating now back to the convention center with some hopes of catching up with the trade show, which is still happening. It's happening today, and then tomorrow it's officially finishing half day through. So let's go and learn more about space and robots. I have a strange feeling that this whole place looks very different from what it was yesterday. Let's go and see what they have. That slogan might as well be the slogan of this whole South by Southwest event. Okay, let's go this way. Okay, a couple of more talks for today and maybe a movie.
But that we all lie relatively frequently, but it's usually for a reason. And psychopaths differ here in that they'll often do it just sheerly for manipulation, to receive some duping delight as an example, but really to manipulate. One of the more interesting findings around psychopaths for me is one of Mike's studies that found that psychopaths will tend to murder for a reason rather than just because they were emotionally upset. So he calls this instrumental versus reactive. And it's very similar for the way they manipulate and lie.
But likely there's a psychopath or two in here because the rates are probably a little bit higher in this room just by the very nature of the session that you're attending. Now,
there were lots of other smart cities. I like them. I tend to live in them. If you're really a smart city, you get rid of Uber first thing.
I have learned things today.
Looked like you were there for a couple of days to recover, and then we had to get some reunion. But
this film's a little different because it tells the story from the point of view of those people on the ground who helped the astronauts get to where they needed to go. And when I say help, I mean they really did help. They made it possible.
Talk about your own personal memories of sort of what it was like in mission control in those quiet time. You know, was the coffee good or bad? Were the chairs comfortable or not? Was it hot or cold? You know, what was it like kind of as an atmosphere in those times when you're just waiting for the next thing to happen?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind about that is on Apollo 8, the first time we went to the moon. And during the coast phase, after we'd done the translator injection and started out to the moon, it was just a long, coast period. And it gave us a lot of time to talk to each other and talk about things like how much we could speed the computers up if we could make them decimal based. It was a lot of fun.
It was a time of our lives, I have to tell you. We talked a little bit in that film about, is this working okay? Yeah. We talked a little bit about, the hours we worked, but it really didn't matter at all. I think we all just absolutely loved what we were doing. And it was, we were young men. We had no gray hair like I have now, or Jerry. When we landed on the moon, the core of the operators, I don't mean the PAO guys or the doctors or the surgeons, but if you just looked at the flight control team, the systems people, the trench, and the communicators, the average age was 27, that group of people. NASA's way was to, whenever they had a decision to make, was to gather everybody up and interrogate the hell out of anybody that was presenting. And I was the guy that was going to go present, and Jerry came along with me, and so I went down and told the assembled audience, with the administrator from NASA being in attendance, and a whole bunch of people from the other centers in Washington, D.C. And when I got through with the story, I told them what had happened and approximately what we did with it. And then I told them what our options were for coming home, and that we recommended option number 2 out of 5, and that's what we wanted to do. And the room kind of rustled a little bit, and I could tell that they were getting ready to have an all-day interrogation of this 33-year-old guy. And so I was prepared for it. I figured it was going to come. And there was a question first by Deke Slayton. And then the administrator of NASA, the #1 guy in Washington, D.C., stands up and he says to me, "Glenn, thank you for that." He says, "That helps my understanding of it." And he says, "I only have one question for you." I said, "Wow, one question." And he said, "What can we do to help you guys?" Silence in the room, and then I thanked him for it. And we had everything we needed. But what we didn't need was a lot of second guessing and a lot of, I would do it this way. And Dr. Payne cut all that off. He was said in effect like Jerry in the film, Jerry Griffin said, Chris came down and told him he didn't have to go to the moon that day. In this case, Dr. Payne was saying, all you other people be quiet. These are my guys. They're doing the job. Leave them alone.
Kind of a perfect finish for the day 5 of the South by Southwest. Wow.
Bye.